to my podcast, a knitting podcast named Mãos de Vera, Vera's Hands. And today I will be showing you a project that I've completed a few years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, give or take, which is this cardigan. I will be talking about it soon. So, and a project that I've completed early this year, and also a few books that I have received early this year too. But I will begin by talking about what I've completed in 2022, which wasn't much. It has been, it was a year that I feel like I've knit a lot, but it doesn't quite reflect the amount of knitting that I was able to put in, so it's what it is. I'm not happy or sad. I'm just happy I was able to knit these projects. Some of them were planned. Some of them had been cast on in 2021 and were completed during the year of 2022. And just a little review of my year in knitting. I was able to cast on 19 projects during the year of 2022. One of them also, these 19 projects were from multiple designers, and I cast on and finished one of my designs. So it was a design for a hat, and it is not yet, it's been in development to just smoothen around the edges, like something like that. So 20 projects altogether. I was able to cast off 10 projects that I began in 2022. One of them was that design, one of my designs. And I cast off 4 projects that I had begun in 2021. So 2022 was the year that I've published one of my new designs, a sock design, and I will put a picture right here for it. And I worked intensively in a design that I had thought up during the 2020, the year of the pandemic. So, and I have yet to complete it, but I'm almost finishing it. I hope to be able to publish it during this spring, because it is a summer project to wear during the summer. So 2022 was the year that I organized another sock knit along during the month of October, the month of my birthday, and the month of the autumn. So I usually host the autumn socks knit along during the month of October, and I was able to complete a pair of socks during that month in that knit along. I also went through all of my older projects. So some of them didn't make any sense anymore. I wasn't exactly willing to complete them, so I frogged them. One of them was a crochet shawl, and another one was a knitting shawl. I believe it was a shawl designed by Helen Stewart, not because I don't love the shawl, but because it's enormous and I probably wouldn't wear it. It would take up too much time to knit it, so no. And the other two that I frogged, not quite sure which one was it. I don't remember. I'll put pictures here of what it was or the name of what it was meant to be. So, all in all, I knit around 7,000, 6,800 something meters of yarn. So it wasn't much. Come to think of it, it feels like small projects. So I've knit 8 pairs of socks, um, one summer top, a hat. I finished a pair of mittens, and I made 2 accessories to gift to my family, and yeah, and a toy. I've completed. Um, I finally completed the Sleepy Fox for my son, for my youngest son, Ricardo, and he was over the moon with it. He sleeps with her, and it's his new best friend. So I was very happy about it. And now he's asked me for another toy, stuffed toy, another amigurumi toy, and this time he decided that he wanted a sloth. I have no idea how I will come up with a sloth made in amigurumi. I will try my best to find a way, but we'll see. So it wasn't a bad year, and I had a lot of fun. Knitting was basically um, the area of my life that gave me more pleasure and that brought me more joy on 2022, because it was a very, very rough year. Um, so knitting is is a joy in my life. So also at the end of the year, I decided that I had to um, make an inventory of my stash, of my yarn stash. I knew I had a lot of yarn when I started to crochet. I started out by buying cheap yarn, mostly acrylic yarn. I bought some cottons too, but and then I started to grow as a knitter and started to invest more money in yarn. So, but buying yarn and knitting yarn is are two completely different hobbies, and I bought a bunch of skeins, single skeins of yarn, just because I fell in love with them. But then I ended up not knowing exactly what to do with them. And one person can only have too many one skein shawls in their wardrobe. So I decided that I had to make an inventory and organize my yarn stash, because 2023 seems to be a year that will bring some constraints in terms of money and finances. And so I thought to myself that probably I should be more mindful of what I buy, if I buy yarn, because I have all this yarn stashed away in my house that has to be knit. It's not just for show. It's not to be just displayed in my in my shelves. It's really nice to watch, yes, but it would be more profitable if I just knit it up. So that's the plan for 2023. I will show you a clip here of what I ended up with, how I stashed it, and I. So this is the space that I have available for my crafts. It's where I usually knit and sew, and that I was organizing. It's half a room. The other side of the room is where my husband has his personal computer. And in order to organize everything, I had to buy two more boxes. These boxes were bought at a local store, and it's where I organized my yarns. So here you can find it has a frontal access, and it's where I have my cottons. It's from Anchor, and I bought these to make a circle in a square blanket for my youngest son when he was born, but he's almost 9 years old, so it won't be a blanket, I guess. Here, I have mini skeins and some leftover acrylic yarns that I got from my mother-in-law when she passed away. These are a few minis that I got in a swap from Snail Mail. And here, I have Rowan Yarns and Rosarios 4 bio wool from leftover from a shawl. I also have felted tweed from Rowan, and this Rowan sock that someone gifted me, a fellow knitter. And I also have Soul yarn from indie dyer, Paula from Dyed by Alfinite. In this box, I have drops yarn, essentially Lima and Nepal. In this box, I have all the leftover yarns. And in this one, I have all my sock yarn joined all together. Most of them were bought at Aldi supermarket, which is a really nice sock yarn. Here I have kid silk and soft tweed that I bought last August, and also some drops alpaca that I bought probably 2018. And these are some of my most precious skeins of yarn. These are my last acquisitions. It's from Hertz Garn that I bought at Meraki store. Some sock yarn that I bought at my local yarn store. Also, Carano Shetland wool, 100% wool. And Ophelia from Ovelha Negra, a yarn store here in Portugal, in Porto, which was what was left after I frogged the Helen Stewart shawl. I also have Debbie Bliss, and also 2 skeins of the blue brick yarn
that were hand dyed, and I still haven't found a project for it. Then on this box, I have all my precious yarns, as I like to call them, and this is a packet of Mondine yarn. It's a sock yarn. It's um, it's it's degradé yarn, and I plan on making a featherweight yarn cardigan from Hannah Fetic. And I also have Fios da Fazenda, Tricôs Brancal, and Malabrigo. This is my workspace and it's super, super disorganized. All my current projects and the ones that I'm working on. And last but not least, my temperature blanket with all the Rosário Squat Merino for Us yarn that I bought to make it. And that's it, my craft space.
I basically um, put it all in Ravelry. It took me around 1 week. I decided to take pictures of everything, labels and all, so I would know colors and dye lots and yardages and all of that, and gauge for the yarn. And I have I ended up with almost 680 photos of my stashed yarn. I came to realize that I had more cotton yarn than I had anticipated, which is good because I live in the south of Portugal and it gets really, really hot here in the summer. So wool is not exactly an option, but cotton is a very, very good alternative. So I believe I will be knitting a lot more tops with the cotton yarn that I have in my stash, and I realized that I have a lot of single skeins, all around the same colorways, blues and greens and pinks, especially, and yellows too. So probably I will be able to combine them or find some nice patterns to be able to use them all in either a sweater or um, a tee or something, maybe a shawl with more than one skein. And it was a very important exercise for me to do because before, when I wanted to knit a pattern, I would go looking for yarn to buy specifically for that pattern. And after I did this inventory, I something in my mindset changed, and when I see a pattern that I really like and would like to knit, the first thing that comes to mind is what do I have in my stash that can be used for this? So it was really important. I spent almost my week, the last year of the last week of the year I was on holidays, and I took that time to photograph everything, log everything, and then I spent the next 2 to 3 weeks inserting everything in my Ravelry stash page. So now I have a fair knowledge of what I own in terms of stash. So that's the plan for 2023, knit from my stash. I won't exclude the possibility of buying more yarn. I probably will, because I plan on going to Knit with Friends this year also, and it will be hard to resist. But at least I will know what I have. I also arranged my project, my queue in Ravelry, so that I've already assigned yarn that I have in my stash for some of the projects that I have on my queue. So when I plan on buying more yarn, it has to be with a specific project from my queue in mind. I did that last year also. Everything that I bought last year at Knit with Friends was meant for a certain project. I bought the yardage for that specific project. So that remains true for this year, with the added knowledge that I might have already stashed yarn for that specific project. So that was something that I have been doing the last month and a half, and I have also been knitting, of course. I've completed my first project that I completed in 2023 was my Advent sock projects. These are my Minecraft socks. They look really small. They haven't been washed yet, but they fit my 38 foot. I've knit this with the 2.5mm needle, using the magic loop method, and I've cast on 60 stitches, which is my go-to size number stitch count, so they can fit me. The yarn that I used is hand dyed by a good friend of mine, Maria João. This is her interpretation of Christmas colorway. So it's a Christmas colorway that she dyed up specifically for Christmas. I cast on this pair of socks on the first day of Advent last year, and when I cast on this project, I was using my Xiaogu minis 9-inch needles. The thing was that as I was knitting with the minis, I had that feeling that they were too big. I had way more fabric than I was supposed to in terms of circumference. So something seemed off to me, but I wasn't entirely sure what it was. So what happened was that I was coming to the toe I was beginning to start the toe when I decided to put the sock on, and it was so big. I was using 2.5mm needles. I had cast on 60 stitches like I always do, and it felt like I had cast on 72 stitches sock. And I had to frog it all up. I frogged it up until the rib of the leg, and the conclusion that I could draw up was that my tension was completely different using the minis. from what is my usual, using the magic loop method. So I frogged it all up until the rib, and then I just knit them using magic loop. I did a German short row heel, which is one of my favorite methods for heels. I don't really like heel flap and gusset because it's for a very specific reason. Usually, the fabric that I end up with here on this part, if I do a heel flap and gusset, it's too much because the height of my foot isn't that big. The bridge of my foot isn't that big, that high, so I don't need all that fabric. It's perfectly ergonomical using German short row or fish lips kiss heel, which is one of the two methods that I usually go for. I've also tried the afterthought heel, but uh, I think it takes up a lot of work and I don't really like it. One thing I did this time that I don't usually do, and I did it also for a reason. Since I had two sets of needles available, I knit them both consecutively at the same time. I usually knit one first, and then when I cast off the first one, I cast on the second one. What has happened, probably the last three pairs of socks that I've knit, is that the second one ends up being smaller than the first one. The tension is a little bit tighter, so it ends up just a little bit smaller. I don't know if it's because when I'm knitting the first, I'm a little bit more relaxed because I'm trying to figure out whether it is going okay or not. And on the second one, since I already know the path, so to speak, I just power on through and end up having a tighter gauge knitting the second one. So this time around, I had two sets of needles available, and so I would do a repetition on this one and then do a repetition on this one, and they ended just the same size. I just made one small mistake on this one. I was a little bit distracted, so you can see that it's not exactly, this wasn't supposed to be as big, so you can tell, but it's gonna be inside my shoes, so I'm not really bothered by it, so no worries. I have yet to wash them and block them, but I've already tried them on and they fit just perfect. So my Christmas socks, Minecraft socks, from I will put the name of the designer here because I can't remember right now, or maybe I have it here in my yes, I have it here. Her name is Heather Cox. Heather Cox, Minecraft socks. It's a free pattern on Ravelry and it's really easy to memorize, and it gives this beautiful texture. It's really fun to knit. I really like it. I still I was left with this much amount of yarn, so I will be knitting a pair of ankle socks with this because I know it will be just about enough, and I will be using it to knit some ankle socks because it's something that I really like to use during the springtime and also during the fall time, the autumn time. Um, and I used these these needles. So this is the pair that I was talking about. These are Prim needles. I don't know if you can. You can see it has the tips are slightly rounded. Nope, it's not focusing. Oh, there you go. So, and the cable has no memory, which is just lovely. And they are really, really nice. The cable is 80 centimeters, which is what I usually go for. And I bought this at my closest yarn store, which is Novelos e Novelinhos in town. So I guess this will be something that will become more frequent when I knit socks because I really don't like ending up with a sock smaller than the other. It's kind of too wonky for me, so I will be trying to knit them both at the same time. So there is this project that I've finished this year. And I have them on this little project bag. It's I really love this project bag. It was made by Conchetta Preller. She is Butternut Handmade UK. She has a Instagram profile. I will leave the link below. And she sews up these beautiful, beautiful project bags for socks. They're just perfect. And I usually use this and take it to work, and everyone always gushes about how beautiful it is. And so yes, I bought this when I was at Knit with Friends last year. When I met Conchetta Preller, we were staying at this community house that we rented for 15 knitters, and it was really, really fun. I loved meeting Conchetta. She is really nice, and she's a very talented sewer. And I have been working also finishing one of my designs. I will be finishing it probably in the next couple of days. And then I will be starting to write down the pattern. So, and next, what I have next is a cardigan that I have cast on the 20th of January. It's called Monteiro cardigan. It's a pattern by a lovely Portuguese designer, Maria Martins. And it's a very simple cardigan, but what got to me was this rounded edge of the cardigan. It has let me see if I can show you. Has this beautiful simple lace pattern on the sleeves. And this was a pattern that I was planning on knitting for a very long time, And then at the community that gathers around in Discord, Christina's Discord, of course, we decided to start a knit along together on January. I was I'm really, really, really behind considering everyone else, but I wanted to finish some other things first, so no problem about that. It's not a race, and I am really happy. I'm just trying to untangle this. I am really happy of how it's going. I'm still at the part of the oh god, sorry, trying to show you this, but it's not going well. I'm still working the increases, so it's on a very early stage. But I'm enjoying this so much. It's easy and mindless, and yet it still has a bit of a challenge because we have to pay attention for the lace rows, and it's knit from the top down, so it's something like this. The sleeves, it's a raglan sleeve pattern, which is something that I really enjoy. I like to see how the project starts to grow. I'm not a big fan of knitting things in pieces or sewing pieces of knitting together. So I really like this method of raglans and creases, and so this is how much I have so far. It's not much, but it will be growing in these future weeks. I'm using um, soft tweed, soft tweed from Drops. It's spinach pie green. It's a bit of a green. It seems really blown out in the image because of the light. I'm sorry about that. So, but it's a green, and it's really smooth. And the composition of this is 50% wool, 25% alpaca, and 25% viscose. These are 50-gram balls with 130 meters, 142 yards each. So soft tweeds. I bought eight balls of this yarn when they had the alpaca party last August, and at the time I bought just enough yardage to do a sweater or a cardigan. But when I bought it, I didn't exactly have a project in mind. But when we started talking about doing the knit along for this cardigan, for the Monteiro cardigan, um, I had already began to inventory my stash, and I had this eureka moment. I'll use that to do this cardigan, and I am so not sorry for the choice because one thing I can tell you about this yarn, it produces a very well defined fabric. The stitch is really beautiful, and I am absolutely convinced that it will be even nicer when I wash it. So I will have a beautiful cardigan from Maria Martins. She only designed a couple of patterns, but they are all just beautiful. And so I think I will be showing you more projects from designed by her in the future. She has these beautiful project bags. She's focused more on that side of the business, and she has these beautiful project bags that she sews up. And I am a rotten egg for not having one yet, but I will be changing that in the near future. So it's um, it's a sacrilege that I don't have one of her project bags. So Monteiro cardigan is has been my evening Netflix project, Netflix and chill. So and now let's talk about the cardigan that I am wearing. This is my amarelo cardigan. It is, I've completed it during the year to 2020. I cast it on August 2019. After the first edition of the festival, of the Knit with Friends festival, because this cardigan was the staple piece for the 2019 Knit with Friends festival. And it's a pattern designed by Polka Knits, Paula Wisniewska, and its beauty is the back that I will show you. So it has this lace panel at the back that was just something that when I saw, I just fell in love with it. The pattern's name is amarelo. It means yellow in Portuguese, but I've decided to do it vermelho, which is red. Vermelho is red in Portuguese. So the only thing I used Portuguese. Perdão, sorry. I used a Portuguese brand of yarn, Ovelha Negra, black sheep in Portuguese. It's Victoria from Ovelha Negra. It's a Portuguese brand of yarn that I bought also when I was in Porto for Knit with Friends. The only thing I regret about this project is the size of the sleeves. I wished I had knit them a little bit longer. I thought that blocking them harshly would do the trick, but it didn't. But all in all, I'm really happy with the result. It has these painted wooden buttons that I bought at a local haberdashery here in Portimão. Sadly, the store has already been closed. And this is my yellow-red cardigan from Polka Knits. It's one of my staple pieces from my wardrobe. I love to use it. It's really warm. The yarn is quite rustic. It's 100% wool yarn, and it's quite rustic, but it got a little bit smoother with washing and blocking, and I really love it. And now I have construction sounds on the background. Next to, I would like to talk to you about a few books that I have in my knitting book library. I have also other types of books in my library. I'm a heavy reader. I'm a complete bookworm, and I have about 400 novels in my library, if I don't count with my knitting books that I haven't yet to inventory, which is probably my next step, is to make an inventory of my knitting books, knitting and crafts books, because I also have crochet books and sewing books. So, and I have a few magazines, pom pom magazines, and also interpretations from Vira Valimaki and Joji Locatelli. But these books, one of them I have had in my library for quite some time. It's a very, very, very good book, and you will understand why. That I will leave that for last. And I will speak to you about the two books that I ordered late last year and that arrived in the middle of January this year. So this is Charming Colorwork Socks. It's a book by Charlotte Stone, and she's creator of Stone Knits. It's all about colorwork socks. I believe there's only one or two pairs of socks here that aren't colorwork, if even there is one. And I've decided this is the first pair. I'm trying to, yeah. This is the first pair that I will be knitting from this book because of its name. It's called Midnight in Zermatt. Yes, Midnight in Zermatt. I will be knitting them for my husband, even though he's my worst client. I hope he likes it. And the reason I'm knitting this pair of socks for him is... I'm sorry, my kids are really sorry. Because my husband spent a few seasons in Switzerland, in this area, and when we both met, he kept talking about Zermatt, so I will be knitting these socks for him as a surprise. Not that he usually uses knitted socks. He doesn't. He says they're too warm, but there's some beautiful, I was trying to find here, beautiful socks to show you. These ones. Sorry. I'm still trying to figure out how to operate this camera. This one is also really nice. And there are here a few. The first one that I saw was this one. It's just plain gorgeous. But the one that I wanted to show you was one with the it has these. This one is just beautiful. Sorry, the light is... Sorry. Hello again. I'm afraid that I had some technical problems, and the footage that I recorded right after I took that cut was accidentally deleted, and I was really stressed about it, and tried to recover it, but that wasn't possible. So here I am to record again and talk to you about what I talked to you about yesterday. Basically, the pattern from the book that I was looking for is a very fun pattern. It's really really cool, and I think that it's a beautiful pattern for socks for kids. It has the fried eggs at the toe and the chicken, all the chicken at the leg. So it's really fun. I think that for kids they would just love it. And there's also another one. Let me see if I can find it. That I think it's really cool for kids and for adults too, but let me see, I can find it. One of my fellow Portuguese knitters has already knit this sock pattern for her teenage daughter, and it's just so cool. Oh, I can't find it. Oh god, where is it? Oh, here it is. It's these ice creams. It's so much fun, so cool. So this is a book that I am sure I will be knitting socks from, because it has all these cool patterns to knit up. So it will be put to use. Then I would like to talk to you about another book that I ordered late last year. I wasn't planning on investing in this book. Basically, I see this book, the purchase of this book, as an investment. And I wasn't planning on ordering it. I had already seen at least 2 reviews from fellow Portuguese knitters, and I thought I thought that the book concept was really really fascinating, and but that didn't make me want to buy it. I thought it was a really nice book, really cool book. But I decided that I was going to probably eventually buy it further ahead, probably later down the line, not in the immediate short term that I ended up ordering it, because and what made me decide to buy it was because last year, as I went through my stash inventory, I also decided that I was going to buy all the patterns that I had queued up to knit in 2023. So I decided to buy a few patterns that I was still lacking. I have those projects on my queue to knit up this year, and some of them I had already bought in the past, and some of them I didn't. So I decided to buy the ones that I still didn't have. And that's when I went to buy this pattern from a Colorworks sweater. And the information on the Ravelry page was that the pattern had been discontinued and that it would only be available in paper. And then it left me really confused, because I wasn't aware that this pattern had been published in this book. So The book is Kalevala Knitted. It's from Jena Kostet. Um, and it's a land publishing publication. And basically, it's a sea odyssey, and it's based on a sea odyssey, and all the patterns from all the garments in this book are inspired by that sea odyssey. Here in Portugal, we have this is a Nordic sea odyssey, uh, and it has the poems on the book. As you can see, it's translated to English. It's a Nordic sea odyssey, and it's quite funny because one of the Portuguese knitters and podcasters, Cristina, she made this comparison with a very famous sea odyssey that we have written by one of our most famous writers and poets, which is Luís de Camões. And so she was asking what would be the equivalent for our sea odyssey. Well, but to make a long story short, it's when I realized that specific colorwork sweater that I wanted to buy the pattern for had been published in this book. And this is I always have trouble saying this, the Swolaulu sweater. It's a bottom up sweater, and it has this. It's just beautiful. This beautiful color work pattern. I didn't just buy this book because of this specific pattern. That would be a little bit too much for me. But because there's also another pattern, and when I went through it, I found some more that I liked. This is one of them. This one is Kultainen Kaki, the golden cuckoo. It's the translation. Let me see the translation. Oh, Swolaulu means the bog song. So let me see if I can find the other one. Oh, it's this one. It's Pajola. It's this one. So I hope it's focusing. Yeah. It's the Lady of Pajola, Pajola Emantia. And there's lots of other patterns here that I will probably knit up because they are gorgeous. It has also socks, and it has mittens, and all of them involve color work. And at the time I thought, well, it has more than 2 patterns that I want to knit, so it's worth the investment. And I decided to order it as soon as I could because I was afraid that since the Swolaulu pattern had been discontinued, I was afraid that the number of issues from this publication would run out, and I wanted to have a copy of the book for myself. So this is another beautiful pattern. So I'm really happy with the decision I made. It's really worth it. I just went through not paying much attention, of course, but I will be reading this Nordic Sea Odyssey. It's a folk story, and I'm sure it will be even more enjoyable. So these were bought late last year, 2022. But the book that I really wanted to talk to you about is a Portuguese book by a Portuguese author, and I'm I'm not sure if you ever heard of her. Here in Portugal, she's like I don't know how to. She's a specialist, and we owe her. She's a goddess of yarn and of knitting, and she has done. Her name is Rosa Pomar, and this is a Portuguese book called Malhas Portuguesas, Portuguese knitting. I have the Portuguese version of the book. There's also a translated version into English. Currently, the Portuguese version has sold out, and the English version is still available. So a few copies, I believe, not many. And I know that some Portuguese knitters really wanted to have this sort of small Bible about Portuguese knitting, and it's the Rosa made a huge effort, and this is the result of her research, of her work to revive the yarn industry and yarn world in Portugal, because it was a dying one. She basically went from north to south to our islands, Açores and Madeira, to find all the sheep breeds that were, some of them were almost not going extinct, but disappearing slowly. Some people have very few, have small flocks of these sheep breeds, Portuguese sheep breeds, and she did this tremendous work of documenting everything, of researching everything, going to the farmers, to the shepherds. She managed somehow to bring those sheep breeds back to life by developing yarn from those specific sheep breeds. And she also documented a lot of the history of knitting, because we have some patterns that are part of our culture, of our traditions, of a world that has been slowly fading away and disappearing. And she condensed all of that work in this book. So this book is very comprehensive. It shows things like people knitting, how we usually knit here in Portugal. I don't use the pin. I use the yarn tensioned around my neck. I learned to knit Portuguese style. It has all the old accessories, the needles that were used. I still have some of these metallic ones from my grandmother. They're really rusty, but they are somewhere, I don't know where exactly. And she went to find garments that were knit, that were traditional and from each region in Portugal. And we have hats, and she also has instructions how to knit. There's a graphic part instructing how to knit. This is the famous camisola poveira, Polveira sweater. Last year, I believe it was last year or 2 years ago, that an American designer plagiarized this sweater shamelessly, and she was shamed for it. Because this sweater here in Portugal is the livelihood of many artisans from the Aveiro region, and it's all done by hand. And the motifs, the sea motifs, are embroidered by hand. This was a sweater that it was used by the fishermen when they were out in sea, um, to keep them warm. And it here in Portugal, it's sold at around 90 euros, 100 euros, one of these garments. And that American designer was selling them for about $400-500. And it was really not cool. She then took the good road out, and admitted and decided that to collaborate and things like that. So this was also something, this here, these edgings. I still have pieces of this in my house that are memories from my grandmother and my mother. They used to make these, not by knitting but crocheting, and they were used to embellish bed sheets and to make them more refined and exquisite. And I still have these edgings, some pieces, some swatches. Of course, doilies. It's also part of our culture. There's a certain prejudice here in Portugal about doilies that is very it's really associated with grannies' houses and old ladies' houses, and thankfully we have been finding ways to bring it back to life and give it a modern twist, and not have that connotation with the old ladies and things from the last century. Here is pictures from the cycle of wool, from spinning and carding, the written instructions, as I was saying, like any book. Here, and it has color work also, and it has all these patterns written. And this is something that I would like to talk to you about. It's called, roughly translated, not exactly, but roughly translated, it's called knitting for music, because about 40 years ago or 50 years ago, women weren't, they didn't have much access to knitting magazines or publications with written patterns. So basically, these stitches, these combinations of stitches, were shared orally, and in order to be easily remembered, they would compose this little tune, this little song, so that they could memorize easier all the stitches they had to do. So it was called knitting by music, if I can translate it freely. And there is also a book that was published. It was an author's publication by a lady that is, I believe she's in her late 80s, early 90s. I'm not sure her age, but there's an entire book that is that was only 500 copies of that book were printed here in Portugal. She paid for that to be published, and it's exactly a compilation of all those knitting tunes that were passed on from one knitter to the other in this sing-song way. So there's also this beautiful bag with this beautiful pattern. It's from up north. It's a traditional pouch with a pattern from the Miranda area. It's really northeast of Portugal. And you have leg warmers and you have arm warmers for people that usually worked on the fields, either farmers or shepherds and things like that. So this is a very comprehensive book about Portuguese knitting and Portuguese traditions, and to me it's quite the treasure that I have here. So if you would like to have one of these copies, you can probably find it in Rosa's she has a crafts store where she sells her brands of yarn made from Portuguese sheep breeds, and I will leave the link below if you want to, because I believe the only version available is the English one. So Malhas Portuguesas, Portuguese Knitting by Rosa Pomar. I would also would like to tell you a little bit of a little trip that I made. Sorry, mid-January. It was my husband's birthday, and in our family we have this this tradition of sorts that we usually go out for a walk. A walk is a bit of a stretch. We go out as a family, all four of us, my husband and my two boys, and we usually pick out a destination that isn't more than 3 hours away by car. And because we usually leave very early in the morning and arrive late at night, and we usually pick out a destination that has cultural heritage or historical landmarks like castles. My kids love castles, and Portugal is is very abundant of castles and fortresses, and they love to explore. So this time we decided to go to Montemor o Novo. It's high up in the Alentejo region. It has the ruins of a castle, and then we headed to a little village called Reolos, that is near Montemor o Novo, and it also has a castle. Sadly, the castle isn't very well preserved. It could be better. My kids were a little bit disappointed. But then Reolos is sort of the capital of tapestry rugs, and done by hand with hand-dyed yarn. And it has this museum that explains all the history. The first the first references to these types of rugs were found in the 16th century. And today, where this museum lies, it was an an old hospital that was converted to an exhibition place, an exhibition house for these rugs. And they found some archaeological remnants of the dying poodles that they used in the 16th and 17th century. These types of rugs, you will see the footage. They were brought to the Iberic Peninsula by Persians and Arabs during the Al-Andalus period of the peninsula, and they used wool from locally sourced merino sheep, and they were dyed also locally with natural materials, natural products, and you can see all that process. It's really well detailed how they made the strap base, the loom. It has a huge loom in exhibition. It has these huge rugs that some of them have 2 meters by 3. Some of them were made in the 17th and 18th century. Some of them the colors of the dyes are already fading slightly. Some of them are so worn out that it has patches where the yarn simply disappeared. And you can see 2 artisans working and making a rug in front of you. My kids loved that part. They asked a lot of questions and I had a lot of fun. It was really, really cool. And I brought from there, I brought a little kit. It cost me €5. It has the I never know the name of this material. I think it's strap. I'm not sure. I'll put the translation here. We here in Portugal we call it serrapilheira, and it brings a needle. It has a needle, and it has the instructions with the it's both written in English and also Portuguese. I will show you the English part so it's easier. So sorry, it's to make this little flower, and it has all the stitches that are used in Arraiolos tapestries, and it has here the colors that I should be using, and the colors are right here. It has these. Oh god, let's see if they don't roll out to the floor. So are these tiny little yarn balls with all the colors that are needed to make that little flower. This is you can't quite see the color. It's a deep yellow. It's showing really blown out. This one is a deep old rose color. This is a very faded blue. This is a light brown. This is ruby all through and through, and this is a burgundy. color. So all these yarns are necessary to make that small small tapestry rug. I plan on making it and framing it and putting it in my living room. Um, it was really fun, and it was a really happy day. so um, and I guess this is a very long episode, so I hope you bear with me to the end, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will see you soon. Bye.